I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you very much for giving your time today to listen to us. As it says on screen, obviously the session today is about maximising online revenue with Google AdSense and Ad Manager. Just to introduce myself very briefly, I'm Carola York, the VP for Publishing here at Jellyfish. I'm very pleased to say we've had almost 120 people registering for today's event, so it shows the interest in this topic. Not surprisingly, we've got lots of publishers attending. I recognise a few names, so hello to those of you that I know who've joined in. But it's also really good to see that we've got representatives from other industries such as travel and retail who also are looking at using advertising to help monetize their websites. And we've also got a very global audience joining us today as well. I can see that we've got attendees from the UK, from Israel, from India and South Africa. So welcome to everybody. Just a few practical things. We're aiming for the session to last about 45 minutes and there'll be time at the end for questions. If you do have a question, please add them into the Q&A box at any time, but we won't actually answer them until the end of the webinar. So without further ado, just a quick intro to what we're going to go through today. It's going to be an introduction to Google's Publisher Solutions, and you'll discover a little bit about AdSense and Ad Manager, what the differences between them are, how they can work together, an overview of how you get started with them both, some of the key platform benefits, and our speakers today are both from Jellyfish and from Google. So I'd like to introduce Matthias Marin, who is one of our leading trainers on the Google Ad Manager platform, and also Patrick Wakefield, who is a Senior Business Development Manager at Google. So they're going to talk you through the webinar today, and then I'll finish up at the end and help you answer any questions that you might have that we don't cover through the webinar session. So I'm going to hand across to Matthias.
Thank you, Carola, and welcome everyone. So as Carola said, today we're going to be talking about monetizing your audience on your website or on your mobile app. And obviously, when you want to start selling your ad space to advertisers, if you don't have much experience, it can be difficult to know what is a solution for you. So hopefully, with the content we're going to deliver to you, you will basically know what should be the best solution for you, whether you will be using AdSense or Ad Manager or use both solutions together. So to introduce the presentation, basically we live in a digital world. We all been using smartphone or connected TV at home, but obviously with the current pandemic situation, we've been exposed to digital even more, and then digital has been part of our day-to-day life even more. And I put a couple of examples on this slide. So obviously, from a shopping point of view, with all the shop being closed in most of the region, at some point we have to switch to online shopping. And I got an example there in the UK of a company called Neck Wines that sell wine online. And you can see they increased their revenue by 81% in April and May when the shops were closed. But also from a work point of view, we have to basically do online meetings, or if you're a teacher, you have to deliver your online class online. So you have to use a web conference tool like Zoom. So you can see Zoom was booming a lot during the lockdown in most of the country. So you can see they got an increase of plus 2,000 users during the pandemic. But I could add also web conference provider as well. You can see that Google Hangout added a lot of new features as well. A lot of users started using WebEx as well. So we have basically had to use those tools. Even from a social point of view, I'm sure many of you have started using House Party to do a family reunion or friends reunion. So it became part of our day-to-day life. From an entertainment point of view, more users subscribe to platform like Netflix to watch online content on TV or the smartphone. And also from a sports point of view, basically we have to engage digitally to do sports. So whether we're recording or sports workout on an app, you can see the number of increase of workout recorded on the Nike Training Club app, but obviously some of us have been watching video on YouTube to do some workout. So digital was part of our daily routine for pretty much anything in our life. And then if you look at the publisher point of view as well, there's a study from Comscore that look at the number of visits on the top publisher website on the US, and you can see the number of visits increased quite a lot as well in March when the pandemic started in the US. So essentially, we are engaging more digitally because of the current situation. And I'm assuming if you guys joining the webinar today is because you are offering something online. So whether you've got a blog where you're sharing your best recipe, or you're managing a forum for runners, for example, you have some kind of presence online. And obviously the fact that more people are present online and spend more time online should help you to make more money. So whether you're selling product or services online, obviously, as we saw on the previous slide, that should help you to basically generate more revenue. Or if you get people to subscribe to access to your content, you can increase your revenue as well. But the other way for you to make money is to sell ad space to advertiser, and that's what we're going to cover today. And obviously, the fact that the people are spending more time online and engaging more with the content online should help you to basically monetize your content, basically. So what you could do is basically sell your inventory to advertisers. So you can sell ad space to advertiser, and essentially advertiser will basically pay to show their ads on your actual content. So whether you have a website or a mobile app, you just basically want to allow advertiser to show the ads to your audience, and obviously the advertiser will pay to show the ads to your audience, essentially. So if you want to sell your ad space to advertisers, it's very important for you to understand the type of ads that you will allow advertisers to show on your content. So there's different type of ads that your advertiser can show on your page, and it's up to you to decide what type of ads you want to deliver on your site. So obviously you got display ads, and that can be referred as banners as well. So basically a banner ad that will show within the content of the page in most cases. You can also get advertiser to show video ads. So if you've got a video player on your website where you show some video content, you can let advertiser to show to show video ads on that video player. So if you think about the type of ads that you see on YouTube, you can have the same type of experience for the user when they go watch video content on your website or on your app. And also what's become quite popular for advertiser is to run native ads. So essentially with native ads, you can customize the creative template to adapt to the design of your site. So you may want to adapt the size of the creative, the colors of the background of the creative, or the color of the text. So the advertiser ad basically will have a similar look and feel on your actual content. So basically, it doesn't really look like an ad for the users. And it's getting quite popular for advertisers because they're seeing good results with those type of ads. So if you're interested in selling ad space to generate revenue from your online activities, there's multiple solutions from Google available for you to sell ad space to advertisers. And we're going to cover some of them during today's presentation. So the first one would be Google AdSense. So if you own a mobile website or a desktop website, you can use Google AdSense to basically sell your ad space on the Google Ad Network. So any advertiser using Google advertising solution will basically be able to purchase your inventory that you sell through AdSense. So it's quick and easy to set up, and I will show you how you can start using Google AdSense in the next slide. The other solution is if you own a mobile app. So if you want to sell your ad space on a mobile app, the other solution available is Google AdMob, so specifically for app inventory. So that will be the solution for you if you own a mobile app and you just want to sell inventory on mobile app, essentially. And then the last solution, which we're going to cover today, is Google Ad Manager. which is basically a solution that will allow you to sell your inventory across a lot of different networks. So you can be a bit more clever in terms of the way you'll be selling your inventory, and to make sure that you're selling your inventory to the advertiser that will pay the higher price, essentially. So so that will be the other solution, and I will cover the differences between all those solutions in more details on the next slide. So let's start with Google AdSense, and as I said earlier, it's a free solution. I mean, you can create your account straight away, and then basically start adding some piece of code on your website, and you basically start selling your ad space on the Google Ad Network, as I was saying earlier. And then I've got a quote from the WikiHow founder and CEO on this slide that basically explains how quick and easy it is to use AdSense. All you have to do is drop the little AdSense code into your website, and it immediately starts working. So as the quote is saying, it's very quick and easy to start using Google AdSense. You will basically add a piece of code in the header of your website. So Google can basically verify your website. And then after that, you can add some codes to start delivering ads. And then that's how Google can start selling your ad space to advertisers, basically. So how does it work? So essentially, if you sell your ad space using Google AdSense, essentially everything would be programmatic, which is kind of a big word in the industry at the moment. So it just means that basically everything will be sold via technology. So when you've got people coming to your website and you're selling some ad space on that specific page, those impressions will be available on the technology used by advertiser. So they can basically compete to purchase those impressions, essentially. So depending on the amount of advertiser interested of purchasing your specific impression or your specific ad slot, basically there will be a different price that you will be making from selling that specific ad space. So as you can see, if there's a lot of advertisers competing for your impression, then you can make more revenue than if there's less advertiser competing for one specific impression. But the good thing is many advertisers are using Google Ads technology to run their campaign. So obviously there should be a lot of advertisers interested in your ad space. So that should help generating a bit more revenue for you. But yeah, so the nice thing is because everything is managed via the technology, there's little management for you in terms of deciding on how much you will basically sell your ad inventory. It will basically purely be based on advertiser competing for those impressions. So so one benefit for you as well is that there's little management when you use AdSense. You just basically pushing all of your impression to the AdSense network, and then you basically let the advertiser compete to purchase those impressions. And then to make it even more easier for you, there's a feature in AdSense called Auto Ads. Basically, that will basically use machine learning to decide where to serve the ads on your page. So if you don't have much technical coding knowledge and you're scared of adding some code into your page, so you're scared that it will affect the layout of your page, or you're not sure where to place the ads on your website, just let AdSense do the work for you. You just place a piece of code in your page header, and then basically we'll place the ads on your site. So we'll basically see what's working on your site, where the best place to put the ad on your site, and then we'll basically take care of that for you. So the idea that because you don't really need to spend time on adding the code on your site, machine learning manage that for you. You can spend more time to really focus on your content and offering the best content to your audience, and then basically AdSense do the work on the background to add some ad space on your page so you can generate revenue. So if you're just starting with your website and you basically want to start generating revenue, but you want to focus mainly on your content because you're just starting, that's the perfect features for you. So you're focusing on your content, and in the background, AdSense will just make sure to serve the ads on the page in the best places for you to make revenue, and that's it. So so as I said, it's quick and easy. The one thing that can be scary for you if you start selling inventory to advertisers is you want to make sure that the advertiser that purchase inventory on your site and that show ads on your site, they're showing legit ads. So obviously, Google is doing a lot of audits in the ad platform to verify the advertiser purchasing inventory. But you can also do your own control as well. So if you go to the AdSense interface, you can review all the different ads delivered on your site. And if you identify an ad that doesn't seem to be legit or that you don't want to show on your ads anymore, you can actually block those ads. So you can either block a specific ad or you can block a specific Google Ads account, so you don't get any other ads from that specific advertiser, essentially. So you got some level of control. So even if Google is basically giving access to your inventory to advertisers, you've got a bit of control if you want to block specific ads or specific advertisers, essentially. So how to get, it probably all sounds good to you. So how to get started with AdSense. And as I said earlier, it's quite straightforward. If you've got a Google account, you can actually go to the AdSense website and you can create your account straight away. So you just add your details, you create your AdSense account. Once your AdSense account is created, as I said, Google will provide you with a piece of code you need to implement in the header of your website. So Google can do some verification on your site to make sure it looks good, and then you're ready to, that you can sell inventory to advertisers. And then once your site is being approved, you can place some additional code on your site to decide where you want to serve your ad or what type of ad you want to serve on your website. And then you can basically start selling your ads to advertisers. Or if you even want to make it easier, you can use the auto ads features and let the system place the ads for you. So very straightforward. And obviously, once you start selling your inventory, you will start making revenue, and then on a monthly basis, you can basically get your money, basically. So all the money you generated from selling your ads, you can get that paid to your bank account. So that's pretty much how it works. So very simple to set up, and you can start making money straight away, basically. So we got a case study that Patrick want to talk to you about regarding some use case of Google AdSense for one of the publisher.
Yeah, no problem. Hi guys, I'm Patrick. Hope you guys are all well and work from home experience is going well. I just take 1 second just to introduce myself. I work obviously in Google in strategic web partnerships. As yourselves these products. So I think what Mattis is explaining is useful. But if you wanted to, I can help you through all this process as well. So demystify a lot. This case study here in Skyscanner really generated a lot of their having trouble hearing me.
Yeah,
you guys hear me,
Patrick?
Matthias?
Yeah, looks a bit better now. Try again.
Okay, perfect. So AdSense for Search is a specific product within AdSense. So I can help you, to my point, get you set up okay with this. So this requires a little bit of approval, but not a problem. So AdSense for Search is essentially when you do a search on Google Search, the top few results will be advertisements. These don't necessarily have to appear on Google Search. They can appear on partner websites as well, so on your websites. So where you have a search bar on your website and a user performs a search, we can essentially take those results that would have appeared on Google and place them on your site. The best thing about this is we can natively style those ads. So we can make them look in any shape or any size, in your font, in your colors, and place them on your website that looks completely balances with your user experience, but really drives a lot of revenue as well. These are very high ROI ad units. So in the case of Skyscanner, their primary business model is users to perform searches. So down in the right-hand side, you can see an example of a style that we created in-house in collaboration with Skyscanner and A/B tested across their website. So really hugely incremental to the existing business model and created in partnership with Google. So if that is something you're interested in or think that it fits your site, then that's something we can work with you to set up. So in the words of Terry Hogan at Skyscanner, it really gives them the flexibility to balance their user experience and effective monetization in a scalable way across their screens. So really useful for them, and maybe for you too.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrick, for that.
Thanks, Matthias.
Cool. So just some limitation I want to mention regarding AdSense, just to make sure that you're aware. So if you use AdSense as a standalone product, essentially you're going to sell your inventory to the AdSense network only. So there's no way for you to basically sell your inventory elsewhere. So there's no way for you to sell inventory directly to advertisers, or if you wanted to sell your inventory via other networks, it's not something you will be able to do within AdSense, essentially. And in terms of the type of inventory you can sell, remember that with AdSense, you will only sell web inventory. So if you own a mobile app and you want to sell inventory on a mobile app, this is not something you will be able to do via AdSense. So as we said earlier, there's another solution for that called AdMob that basically will allow you to basically sell ad space on your app. So to overcome those limitations, one of the solution or potential solution for you, if you're basically ready to spend a bit more time in terms of managing the way you're selling your ad space, could be Google Ad Manager. And essentially, Google Ad Manager is the ad server in the Google Publisher solution. So you can see it as a central place where you can manage basically the way you're going to sell your inventory. So the idea is if you want to sell your inventory via different sources, you can control all of that in one central place, which is Google Ad Manager. So you can sell some ad space directly to advertisers. You can sell some of your ad space with some third-party ad networks, or you can still sell some of your ad space with AdSense, and you control everything within Google Ad Manager. So you got everything in one place. You got all of your data in one place, and then basically the idea is that you maximize the revenue you can generate from all of the visit on your website by making sure that you send the impressions to basically the advertiser that want to pay the highest price for that specific impression, essentially. So one benefit of using Ad Manager to centralize the selling of your ad space is the fact that you can pretty much centralize all of your inventory. So if you've got mobile app inventory, web inventory, you can basically manage everything in the Google Ad Manager interface, and then basically control those ad inventory in one single platform, as I said earlier. And then the other benefit, as I said, is essentially you can push your ad impressions to a lot of different sources. So as I said, if you want to sell impression directly to advertisers, you will be able to do that. Or if you want to scale up a little bit more, you can work with agencies that can sell your impression to multiple advertisers. Or you can also sell your impression to ad networks that will combine your impression with other publisher inventory as well, and then sell that to advertisers. But obviously, you can still work with AdSense when you use Google Ad Manager. So if you couldn't find any impression at a better price that you will get from AdSense, you can always send your unsold inventory to Google AdSense. So the idea that you're really maximizing your impression to making sure that you're getting the best revenue possible from each impression, and obviously making sure that you're not missing out on any opportunity. So you don't want to end up having one potential impression where you can make money from it and then basically not making revenue from it. So that's why it's quite important to still keep using Google AdSense if you want to basically making sure that you're not wasting any impression and not getting any money from it, essentially. So yeah, that's pretty much how you can basically sell your inventory across a lot of different sources using Ad Manager. So just to show an example on that, and then to show you how you could make a bit more revenue by kind of controlling the way you're selling your inventory using Google Ad Manager. So if you're selling, let's say you got 5 million impressions, so whether it's on a yearly basis or monthly basis, let's say you're selling 5 million impressions, and then if you sell everything via AdSense, you're getting £1 CPM for those impressions, and you will end up with a revenue of £5,000. Now, if you use Google Ad Manager, and let's say you manage to sell 20% of your impression directly to advertisers, and then because you sold those premium inventory directly to advertisers, they pay a bit more for those impressions. So you manage to get £3 of revenue CPM for those 1 million impressions. And then obviously you continue selling the unsold inventory via AdSense, and you're still getting £1 CPM for those 4 million impressions. So you manage to basically get a total revenue of £7,000 by basically selling your inventory via different sources and making sure that you're getting a higher revenue for your top premium inventory, essentially. So just by selling 20% of your impression directly to advertiser, you manage to get a nice increase on your revenue, essentially. And as you saw earlier, obviously in between that AdSense and direct inventory sold, you can have other networks where you can sell your impression and basically continue improving the revenue you're making. So, so if you start using Google Ad Manager, you can increase your revenue, but obviously it will require a bit more management from your side to basically control how you're going to sell your inventory and how you're going to control the delivery between those different revenue sources where you're going to sell your impression, basically. So essentially, when you start using Google Ad Manager and you basically start selling your impression across different networks, then basically you need to manage the price at which you're going to sell those impressions. So the idea is when you traffic your ads in Ad Manager, you basically set up a priority for the different line items that you traffic. And obviously, depending on the price you're getting for the different impression that you sell, you're going to give a different set of priority. So you want to basically give more priority to advertisers that will pay a higher price for the impression, essentially, and that's how you can maximize your revenue. So also quite often referred to waterfall auction bidding, where basically you want to first sell to the advertiser that will pay the higher price. If they're not paying those impressions, then you will go to a lower priority with a lower pricing, essentially. So so that's pretty much how you're going to control or you're going to basically maximize the revenue you're making by making sure that you're pushing impression to advertisers that want to pay a higher price. And then if they're not interested in those impressions, then you move on to the advertiser with a lower price, but that's still want to buy your impression, basically. So essentially, that's pretty much the idea of Google Ad Manager. So Google Ad Manager, based on the way you set up your line items and the priority you give depending on the pricing you're getting from the different buying sources, you will control the delivery of the ad. So as I said earlier, if an advertiser wants to purchase premium inventory from you, so they want to show the ads on the top ad units on your homepage, for example, and they want to deliver a specific amount of impression, and on the higher price at which you can sell those impressions, you will first make sure that you deliver those impressions from that specific advertisers, and then only once the system will have delivered those impressions that were booked by this advertiser, then you will go down to a lowest priority line item to serve ads from other advertisers, essentially. So essentially, when you use Google Ad Manager, you will need to basically traffic ads from advertiser or from the different networks you're going to work with. And you're going to assign different settings, so targeting to decide where you want to serve those ads on your website. And then obviously you're going to add additional details like the price at which you're selling those impressions, the priority of those ads based on this price, obviously. And you can also add frequency capping, so you can basically decide how many impressions you want to serve per user to making sure that you're not serving the same ad to the same user all the time, basically, which is probably what the advertiser wants you to do. So the type of control that you will get, and that's you're going to play with those different settings to kind of maximize the revenue that you will be making, as I said earlier. So obviously, try to give higher priority to the higher price that you can get from your impression, essentially. So when you start selling your impression directly to advertiser, essentially they will basically reserve your premium inventory, meaning that they will want you to serve a specific amount of impression. So before you commit to selling those specific amount of impression, you want to make sure that you've got that inventory available, essentially, right? So the nice thing about Google Ad Manager is that you've got a lot of forecasting reporting available. So once again, you can leverage machine learning from Google to do some kind of prediction of the number of impressions available on your site or on your app, to making sure that you're not overbooking basically impression. So you want to make sure that if you commit to sell a specific amount of impression to a specific advertiser, you've got enough impression available to deliver those impressions. So the forecasting reporting available in Google Ad Manager will help you with that. So essentially, you can just make sure that depending on the targeting or the setting you're going to use for the advertiser campaign, you'll be able to deliver the impression that's the advertiser wants. So just to basically avoid overbooking impression. The other benefits, once again, so because it will be a centralized place for you to manage your ad delivery, basically you can report on the reports on the ad delivery across the different networks where you're going to sell your impressions. So as I said earlier, if you basically wants to manage and optimize the way you're selling your inventory, that would be the place to go. So you got a nice report as an example on my screen where you can basically the revenue you're making from all the different sources where you're selling your inventory, and then you can see basically the number of impression you're selling on each network, basically the revenue you're getting on each network. So you will basically know what should be the places where you should basically sell more inventory if you want to increase your revenue, essentially. So so you can use that from a management point of view to making sure that you're getting the best out of all the impression available on your site, essentially. And then you got basically, obviously, you can report on the revenue you're getting from the different places where you sell your impressions. But you can also look at a lot of other different metrics that basically affect the revenue you're generating. So like viewability, for example. So advertiser is something that advertiser looks a lot nowadays. So not only the advertiser wants to show impression on the publisher website, they want to make sure that this impression is visible to the user. So viewability metrics is very important for them. So that's something they're looking at to making sure, to verify the quality of the impression they're purchasing. So within Google Ad Manager, you can review the viewability of your ads, basically all the ads that you run on your website. You can just make sure that you've got a good viewability, and then obviously if you've got a good viewability, you can expect to get higher revenue from those different ad slots. But they will look at other metrics such as the page speed, obviously. So if it takes too long for your page to load, then it will be too late to load the advertiser ads, and then basically you'll be missing out on those impressions you could have sold, essentially. Or you can also report on ad delivery issues. So if for some reason there's some impression available, but you haven't served any impression from advertiser ads, you can troubleshoot what the issue is using Google Ad Manager, essentially. So one central place to basically analyze pretty much everything regarding your ad inventory and the way you sell your ad inventory. So, so yeah, very good for you. And we got another case study from Patrick on Ad Manager.
You can hear me a little bit better. So eBay noticed that there was a huge revenue case in terms of how many users were converting, sort of in the single-digit percentages in terms of e-commerce revenue, and then all of the other users that were coming to their platform, not transacting, but looking at multiple pages. And they noticed that there was a huge revenue case in terms of monetizing all of those users through advertising. eBay have both a highly engaged audience as well as a huge connection to brands. And so that's a really great mix to be able to create direct deals with those advertisers. And they also have enough data and insights to be able to analyze the impact of ads on shopping behavior, as well as making audiences within Ad Manager to be able to effectively sell advertising both on the open auction and to those brands. So really is a perfect conditions. I would imagine that some of you might be in those positions with a shopping platform where you're able to monetize users who aren't converting in smart ways. So the way that they did that is implementing Google Ad Manager and using formats that are friendly towards e-commerce, so native, AdSense for search, which we mentioned a little bit earlier. So those contextual and natively styled ad units that are based on the user's search, as well as display. And what Matthias mentioned about the yield management and having when you're implementing display, being able to have those direct deals, as well as using the ad exchange, and as well as merchandising your e-commerce merchandising products that are available on your e-commerce website, or any sales that are happening where you don't have a bid from either the ad exchange or a direct deal is best practice, and that's something that eBay were doing as well. So along those lines, they implemented programmatic trading by the ad exchange, and that was their approach. So really successful. 70% of their ads are now traded programmatically. So that's through Google Ad Exchange, and they've seen revenue increase over the last three years. I would say that that's mostly down to the highly targeted nature of their advertising. They're really making use of the connection between Google Analytics and Ad Manager, and being able to target segments and create segments within Ad Manager that are really valuable towards advertisers. So I think there's a few different quotes there from eBay in general. I would say the success there comes from the connection of data and insights to advertising serving and the use of native within an e-commerce environment. So really, really useful case study. Perfect.
Thank you, Patrick. So yeah, so as we've seen, Google Manager could be a great tool to basically be a bit more, to help you to be more clever in terms of the way you're selling your inventory. But as I said earlier, it basically requires you to invest a bit more time to use the platform. So if you look at the way you're getting started as Google Ad Manager, you can see it's a bit more complex compared to AdSense. So obviously the first step is still the same. You just create a Google Ad Manager account, and then essentially you need to have your Google AdSense account that have been created first before you can create your Google Ad Manager account. But after that, there's some extra step. So because you're going to basically package your inventory to offer different pricing to advertisers, you really need to think about the way you're going to structure your inventory to basically, as I said, to basically offer different pricing, depending on the type of inventory you're going to sell or where on your website your ad will be served. So essentially the inventory setup and tagging, which is where you're going to need to spend a bit of time. So you need to basically think about the way you want to sell your inventory. It's not like in AdSense where you want to say, I want to basically sell display ads and then video ads, and then basically sell those different ads on any pages of my website. With Google Ad Manager, you kind of need to structure your inventory to basically offer different type of package to advertiser, right? And then obviously you will basically sell your inventory at a different price depending on those different package. So maybe you want to sell your top of the page ad slot at a higher price. That's an ad at the bottom of the page, or maybe on the home page or so you want to have a higher pricing than other content pages of your website. So the inventory structure setup that you will define when you set up your account will be quite important, and that will affect the way you're going to sell your inventory. And now you're going to control at which price you're going to sell your inventory. And also the other part is after you basically set up your inventory ad units and then the tagging on your site so you can start serving ads. You need to do some trafficking. So if you sell inventory directly to an advertiser, you basically need to manually traffic those ads from the advertiser. So it's nice because you can get a nice price from the advertiser, but it requires extra work from you. So you need to go in the Ad Manager platform and you need to traffic that specific creative from the advertiser, and then add all the different settings we mentioned earlier in terms of where you want to serve those ads on your website, what will be the targeting associated for that specific line item, etc. So you're going to do that when you do directly with advertisers, but also if you want to sell your impression on other ad networks, you will need to traffic the tags from those different networks. So there'll be some manual works that you need to do in the platform as well. So that's something you need to consider. There's much more management from your side compared to when you just use AdSense as a standalone product, essentially. And obviously, once you start running campaigns and then start delivering impressions, then you will look at the reporting interface. So there's a lot of different reports you can look at in Ad Manager. So we look at them in the previous slide. So you can either look at the performance of the campaign, to look at the number of impressions, the revenue you're making from each of those different campaigns, the viewability metric, etc. But also you got forecasting metric, as we said earlier, to look at how much impression you can deliver in the future, essentially. So as I said, when you onboard Google Ad Manager, it will be very important for you to define the structure of your inventory. So what you will need to do is set up an ad unit structure. So basically, how do you want to sell your inventory? So what are the different group of inventory that you want to sell to advertiser. And as I said, obviously, for each group of ad units, you might want to sell it at a different price. So basically, that would be kind of targeting that you can offer to the advertiser. So maybe you can offer them to target specific pages of your site, specific position of your ad on the pages. That's what you will basically configure when you do your inventory setup. So it's very important that you get this right. So spend some time at the beginning to make sure that you think about the way you're going to structure your inventory and make sure that you got the right setup for your inventory setup in Google Ad Manager. So just some examples. So at a very basic level, you can look at the structure of your website and then basically set up your ad unit this way. So if you look at a news website, you can have this website or website as a top level ad unit. Then you'll get subcategory on this side. So maybe you can look at the sports content or political content. So if an advertiser wants to show that their ads only on the sports content, then because you've got a specific ad unit for that type of content, that's a targeting that you can offer, and you can basically offer that as a package to the advertiser. And then obviously, if you can even be more granular. So let's say under the sports pages, you got some football content or tennis content. So you got a specific type of content for each type of sport, and you think that would be something that will interest the advertisers. It will make sense for you also to offer those type of targeting as well to the advertiser, and then obviously you can use that in your EL management in terms of the pricing you're going to offer for those specific type of targeting, essentially. And then once you've basically defined the structure of your inventory using ad unit, as I said, all the step would be to traffic campaigns. So as you can see, that's pretty much the structure of a campaign in Google Ad Manager. So you need to set up the order. So basically, when you let's say you want to traffic a campaign for an advertiser directly, you will set up the order where you add all the information about this campaign. And after, you'll create line items for every specific type of targeting you want to do for that specific advertiser. So when you set up your line item, you will decide the type of ad that you'll be delivering. You will add the different targeting. So basically, which content is going to target on your website. Are you going to also target specific location, or do you want the ads to serve only on your website, or do you also want to serve the ad on your mobile app if you also manage a mobile app? And obviously, you assign creative to your line item to decide which creative you want to serve for that specific targeting and setting that you add in your line item, essentially. So as I said earlier, depending on how you're going to sell your inventory, you will also need to do some trafficking as well in Google Ad Manager. So we need to basically spend a bit of time to manage that as well. So I mean, that's pretty much it for the slides. If you got any question, please put them in the Q&A. But just to come back to what I was saying, so essentially, Google Ad Manager is a centralized place where you can manage manage the way you're selling your inventory. But as I said, you need to spend a bit more time to make sure that you set up the account correctly, and you need to spend a bit of time for the trafficking as well. So essentially, that's why at Jellyfish we decided we're going to offer some training on Google Ad Manager. So if you've been using AdSense for a while, or you're thinking of moving to Google Ad Manager, and you want to make sure that you get the setup right, basically feel free to join one of our training sessions, and we can help you to onboard Google Ad Manager and making sure that you have the best setup for your account based on the setup of your website or app, etc. So really happy to help with the setting of your Ad Manager account. Cool. So yeah, as I said, feel free to add your question. We've got a couple of more minutes to answer some questions.
I've seen a few questions coming through already. So I'd like, first of all, just want to say thank you to Matthias and Patrick for having talked us through a lot of the stuff today. But the particular questions that have come through, and please keep adding others to the Q&A section if you have any further. First question is Google Ad Manager free?
Very good question, Carola. So essentially, there's two versions of Google Ad Manager. So there's a free version that you can use, so you can basically sign up straight away. But the limitation will be in terms of the number of impressions you can sell. So if you hit a specific threshold, then you need to move on to the paid version of Google Ad Manager. So there's a paid version called Google Ad Manager 360. where basically you need to pay for the impression that you're delivering. But the advantage is you got unlimited number of impressions that you can deliver. And on top of that, you got some advanced features you can access to. And then some of them were mentioned by Patrick earlier. So if you want to do an integration, for example, with AdSense or Analytics 360, if you use Analytics 360 account and basically you want to push audiences from Analytics 360 to Google Ad Manager to basically offer the type of targeting to advertiser, that's something you can do with a paid version of Ad Manager that won't be available on the free version, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Right.
So most people will use the free version of Ad Manager. So I would say that you can pretty much, depending on your specific requirements, you can use the what we call Ad Manager Small Business. There are essentially different tiers. So if you sell up to I think it's 50 million impressions per month in terms of ads served, then it's free. So if you're within that, which most people will be, if you're within that, then it is completely free. If you go over that, then there is a small ad serving fee per 1,000 impressions that you sell after that point. Most people will be in that free section. You can do pretty much everything you need to do within that section. There are very specific use cases why you've moved to 360. A few of those might be that you are a broadcaster like the BBC and you have very specific ad serving requirements within streams. So 360 is very, very specific. I would say that for the purposes of if you have a very unique setup, then it might be worth considering. I would say 99.9% of people will be on small business, and it will be essentially free. I think on serving things, yes, there might be a small fee after a certain amount, but there is a revenue share on all ads that are traded over the open auction. So if Google matches buyers and sellers for you on the open auction, if you use AdSense or the ad exchange, then there is a revenue share there, and that's essentially where Google makes its money.
All right, thank you very much. Got another question that's come in. Really just, I think, asking for advice. How much time should I be spend managing my Google AdSense or my Google Ad Manager account? You know, what's the typical hours that I should be putting behind it?
Yeah, thank you for that, Carola. Yeah, so I mean, as mentioned during the presentation, essentially, if you use AdSense, the amount of time you're going to spend is quite minimal. You basically set up your account and then basically set up the code to serve the ads on your website, or you can even use auto ads, as we mentioned earlier, to make it even easier for you. But obviously, if you want to kind of optimize your AdSense setup, you basically want to try different type of ad format, as we discussed, try to place them in different places on your site and see what's working best for you. So even it's quick and easy to set up, if you really want to get the best out of it, you need to basically invest a bit of time to try different things, which should be best practice. But as I said, you don't really need to spend a massive amount of time using only AdSense. But when you start using Google Ad Manager, as we mentioned, you need to spend a bit more time because, first of all, when you do the setup, you need to spend a bit more time in terms of to structure your inventory, to decide the way you're going to set it up, to sell it, sorry, to the advertisers. And also, depending on basically the number of sources where you're going to sell your inventory, there's going to be more or less management you need to do. So obviously, if you mainly sell directly to advertiser, as we said, you will need to manually traffic the ads from the advertiser. So you need to also invest sometimes in the trafficking. So if you move to Ad Manager, then that's when you need to start spending a bit more time managing your inventory. You need to do a bit of trafficking. And obviously, we talk about the yield management to basically try to increase the revenue making across the different sources, essentially.
Thank you. Another question, this very specific one. Obviously, somebody has said here that they have 1 million visitors from the UK to their website. How would they estimate what value that might be worth and what they might be looking at in terms of obviously generating potential revenues?
Yeah, I think if you go to the AdSense website, there's a tool available for you. So if you add the number of visitors that you have, your verticals, and the location where you're based, you can get an estimation on the revenue you can potentially make. So obviously, it's just an estimation. But I would say if you're not monetizing your audience yet, just use that, go to the AdSense website and then put those different information, and it will give you some like an estimate of what you can potentially make. And obviously remember that if you start using Google Ad Manager, you can potentially sell directly to advertiser or sell to other sources. And then depending on the way you sell or you show the value of your inventory to advertiser, you can potentially get a higher price as well. But just as a start point, if you really have no idea of how much you can sell your inventory, just use that tool on the AdSense website. I'm sure we can share it with you after the call as well. I can share you the URL of that tool, and you can get an estimation of what you can make straight away by starting using AdSense, basically. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Another one a bit more technical. How much sort of web development support am I going to need to develop AdSense, but more particularly sort of Google Ad Manager? And what might I need to actually create on my website, other than obviously just putting the code in?
Yeah, very good question. So for AdSense, as we said, I mean, if you don't have any technical skills, you don't know coding much, as we said, you can just add one piece of code in your header with auto ads, and then Google AdSense will do the job for you. So you don't really need to know any coding at all. For Ad Manager, it would depend on basically on the setup you want or the way you want to sell your inventory, because obviously you can have a basic setup where you just set up your ad units just based on the specific content category, as we mentioned earlier on the slide. And if you're happy with that, you just need to know a little bit, I mean, understand the tag from Google Ad Manager. And obviously that's something we explain in our training sessions. So you don't really need to know like to be a proper web developer to set it up, but you need to basically kind of understand the tag that you're going to implement on your site. And obviously, if you want a more advanced implementation, maybe you want to pass data dynamically into your ad tag for specific customized targeting that you want to offer to advertiser. In this case, yes, it'll make sense to involve a web developer that will basically those type of technical setup for you. So I'll say depend on the actual setup you want or what you want to offer to advertiser. So you don't really need to be like a full-time web developer. You just need to know a little bit of HTML and JavaScript to get the implementation done.
Yes. So if you can essentially have the ability to paste code on your website, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Most of the settings that you would change will be in the Google Ad Manager UI or Google AdSense. So there is not a huge amount of changing after you put the code on the website. And there'll just be a sort of block of code to copy and paste. Then there's no ongoing code changes unless you wanted to change ad unit sizes. So it's kind of a one-time job if it's done correctly the first time, and then a lot of the changes take place within the UI. So I wouldn't worry too much about getting in the weeds with coding.
Great. I'm very conscious now. We are due to be finishing at 11 o'clock, so I'm afraid we've had some other questions that have come through. We don't have time to answer them now, but we will get back to each of you individually for anybody who submitted a question through, and answer your specific questions post the event. So if you sent them through, thank you very much, and we will get back to you. So just leaves me to finish off and close today. Matthias and Patrick for having obviously run through the webinar today. But also, more importantly, thank you to all of you who've actually registered and signed in and listened today. I appreciate it's time out of your day, and I hope you found something valuable out of the sessions. So please do contact us more. There's some contact details here, and obviously visit our website if there's anything else we can do to help you with. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your days.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.